Over in Georgia, today is the last day of early voting. This marks the first statewide election day under Georgia's controversial new voting law that limits early voting sites and restricts both the number and the available hours of drop boxes. It also has high-profile Republican Governor Brian Kemp and Republican Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger on the ballot. NBC News correspondent Blayne Alexander joins us now from Atlanta. Good morning, Blayne. It's hard to forget those very, very long lines we saw in Georgia's 2020 primary, with people waiting literally hours to practice their constitutional right to vote. What's the turnout been like so far for early voting? And with this new law, are there concerns we could see those long lines again?
Well, Zinkley, good morning to you. To answer your first question, the turnout has been record-breaking, according to numbers from the Secretary of State's office. For early voting, that number has eclipsed what we saw back in 2018 and 2020 at this point in the early voting period. And they're hoping that that number is going to help alleviate some of the pressure and shorten some of the lines that we actually see on Election Day. Right here, I'm at one voting precinct. There are already a couple of people waiting in line. This place doesn't open until 9 o'clock. One gentleman said that he's going to leave and come back. But again, a lot of people are trying to take advantage of this last day of early voting. A couple of things have changed, though, since we saw that what many call a disastrous primary back in June of 2020. One, we're not in the heart of the pandemic anymore like we were back then. But of course, the other issue is that early voting really has been pushed. It's been called, it's been pushed from counties to the Secretary of State's office, and that's something they're hoping will help alleviate some of the crowds. I talked to Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State, about that very thing and pressed him on Georgia's new voting law, which critics say could limit access to the ballot. Take a look.
Critics of this law would look at that and say this is a different electorate that's turned out for the early voting than would turn out in November. They say that these are the people that wouldn't necessarily be impacted by a change in voter laws.
We have 159 counties that are running the elections, and we're seeing remarkably few issues at the county level. The counties are prepared, and this is a great run-through, getting them ready for November, because we expect stronger numbers in November.
So, Zinkley, that's what a lot of people are watching. Yes, early voting numbers, but people who were both supporters and critics of Georgia's law, SB 202, are pointing to those numbers and saying that they mean different things. For Raffensperger's office, he says that it's proof that it essentially underscores what Republicans have been saying all along, that it makes it, in their words, easier to vote, harder to cheat. But for those who are critics of that, they say, you know what, this doesn't tell the full picture. What they're concerned about is Election Day, possibly in November, Zinkley.
And Blayne, I also know that former President Donald Trump has been very involved in a lot of these primaries. He actually campaigned against incumbent Republican Governor Brian Kemp after Kemp rejected Trump's claim that the election was stolen in Georgia. So how is that race shaping up?
You know what? It's certainly shaping up that the incumbent, that Brian Kemp, is going to run away with this on Tuesday, unless something very different happens. But polling numbers show that he's more than 30 points ahead of the Trump-endorsed candidate, David Perdue. And you really can see that in the crowd enthusiasm. You can see that in the days running up to the election. You see that just in the number of ads that the governor is running and that David Perdue is not. You even see that in some new reporting from NBC News that President Trump is essentially trying to pull away from his endorsement of Perdue. He kind of tried to couch it in recent weeks on conservative radio shows and saying, you know what, it's difficult to beat an incumbent, but it certainly looks like it's going to be Kemp's race on Tuesday.
And Blayne, another high-profile race for Georgia is Secretary of State. Like Governor Kemp, the incumbent Republican Brad Raffensperger, who we just heard from, also drew the ire of former President Trump by rejecting the false claims that he had about election fraud. But this race is a little closer. So what do we need to be watching?
It's a much different story than the governor's race. So, yeah, certainly very interesting. Both of them drew the ire of President Trump. Both of them were targets of his. The big difference, though, is that Governor Kemp certainly has a very strong record to run on for conservatives. Those that I've talked to, those of his supporters, say that they're happy with a number of the laws that he signed into place. They're happy with a number of his actions. But when it comes to Raffensperger's Secretary of State race, this is solely focused on 2020. It's something that his Trump-endorsed challenger, Jody Hice, has made the central issue. And even Raffensperger told me when he campaigns, essentially, he has to knock down the repeated lies about 2020 before he can get into talking about his platform. But it is a central issue for him. Those two are only separated by a couple of points, Clay.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.